Hello, welcome to the channel. I was just winding down for my night. I was about to drink some sleepy tea and I was watching some YouTubes before bed. I haven't checked on the Eugenia Cooney situation for quite some time. I know she disappeared for a little bit and she came back, and there were some videos she posted of her eating. Um, I do hope that she is recovering, and I hope she's checking with some medical professionals to make sure that she's doing that the appropriate way. But I wish my best to her. However, tonight I was very disturbed to see that there's been a new development with a supposed email that was released from somebody who was on a psychiatric treatment unit with Eugenia Cooney. I have major problems with this. I basically feel like someone, and I'm not really sure who in the situation is to blame, but somebody in their attempt to villainize Eugenia Cooney has done damage to the entire mental health system. And that's not an understatement or an overstatement by any means whatsoever. It was really quite damaging. So let me go ahead and explain this to you. So first of all, you did a lot of damage to Eugenia Cooney, and there's been so much damage that's been done to her in relation to the mental health system. I don't think she would ever go into a treatment facility, even if she wanted to at this point, because now she'll be sitting there thinking, well, if I go on to a treatment unit, maybe someone's just going to go send off an email about my treatment. So, you guys are really putting in all these little nails in her coffin, and, you're going to have to live with that. I mean, this is really quite deplorable, in my opinion. But let me explain to you why, Eugenia Cooney aside, because hopefully she'll be fine. I mean, she's got her millions of dollars, right? She's going to be moving on to Wyoming to go live with Jeffree Star, and I hope she gets some treatment. I hope she starts to eat some foods and get some proper nutrition. Again, I hope that she does consult with a medical professional about this, because you really have to be careful about refeeding if you haven't eaten for a long time. Not that she hasn't, just saying. Anyway, so the damage that you've done to the entire mental health system with this BS email, and it's BS because, like, even if it is true, and there was someone from the mental health facility who actually has come forward with this, it's BS that you were in a treatment facility with somebody who deserves dignity and respect while they're there, which you have not given to her by writing this email. But not only that, she deserved confidentiality. And everyone in a treatment center deserves confidentiality. Everyone in a treatment center expects confidentiality, and you most definitely will get it from mental health professionals. We are bound by HIPAA, and I promise you, they do not take HIPAA violations lightly. So, well, just for some of you who might not know, like, a HIPAA violation is, just for example, like if I was on a psychiatric unit, I was working with a patient, and then I just left and I told all that patient's information, and I used their name, or I didn't take reasonable steps to protect their identity. That's a HIPAA violation. They take that very seriously. Undoubtedly, I would expect to potentially get fired for something like that. But beyond that, you can definitely get fined for that. And we're not talking about small fines. I believe the last time I checked, I could be wrong about this, but I believe the last time I checked, I mean, you're talking about fines that are like $10,000 on an individual basis. And then if you get into what they will actually fine hospitals or facilities for HIPAA violations, it's a violation for each and every separate, like, HIPAA violation that occurs, and you can get very serious fines for each and every one of them. So they take HIPAA violations very seriously. So, for any of you who are concerned about that, just know that, medical staff takes that very seriously. But this is the problem, and this is the damage that has just been created by a bunch of people who I think we're extremely misguided. So what you don't realize is that now there's a lot of people who are seeing this, and there's a lot of people who do follow Eugenia Cooney who also need mental health treatment themselves. I mean, a lot of people need mental health treatment this day. It's like post-pandemic, I know a lot of people dealing with a whole host of mental health issues. There's no shame in that. But the problem is by putting out stuff like this, you're discouraging from them going and getting help. Or maybe if they want to go get into a treatment facility, they're going to be sitting there thinking like, wow, well, What type of, confidentiality rights do I have when it comes to other patients? Now, most of the facilities I worked with, people were there involuntarily, and I mostly worked with like schizophrenia. So, kind of like where I was working, this wasn't a huge issue, although I was working with people who were paranoid. And I do believe that this came up once, and I was actually honest with the patient because they said, "Well, if I talk in a group, what's to prevent someone from going and saying everything that I said?" And I'm honest with my patients. You know, I'm honest with my patients probably even when my managers might not want me to be honest. But I'm very transparent about things. And, I did say to the patient, I'm like, well, you have confidentiality with me and the facility. I'm like, as far as your fellow residents, I'm not sure. You would have to check the policies. But like, I could see if they had been at the facility voluntarily, that they may have had to have signed paperwork when they came in saying that you need to keep the confidentiality of the other residents who are here. But if you're there involuntarily, I'm not so sure, one, how those rules would apply, but two, I'm not sure how they could enforce those rules on somebody who was there involuntarily in the first place. Like whenever they left the facility, I'm not so sure what could really be done if they went and said what happened at the facility. I'm honestly not sure about that, and I can go try to check on the policies for that. But the point is just that now that it's come up, I'm sure there are a lot of people who are very concerned about this now. And like the thing of it is that somebody went and did this because they had the intention of just, either getting attention for themselves, or, they really were just trying to villainize Eugenia Cooney. And the thing of it is, like, you did do damage to Eugenia Cooney. So congratulations if that was your intent, because she did actually respond to this. But you did damage to the whole system, because now there's going to be a lot of patients who are going to in-treatment facilities who are going to be thinking, is this truly confidential? They might not want to join groups. This really shouldn't affect people if they're working with, therapists, nurses, any auxiliary staff, anyone on the milieu, any of the staff on the milieu. It's not going to affect how they deal with their doctors, but that's one of the things too. If you're in a treatment facility, we do encourage people to take part in groups, and we do encourage people to interact with each other. A lot of times people don't have some good social interactions. So it's good for people while they're at a mental health facility, to try to interact with other people, so we can see if there's some things that we can help them work on, so that when they leave the facility, they can become, happy, functioning people. And, whoever posted this email, well, one, whoever wrote it, I don't know what the intent is there, but what is the intent? It was 5 years ago. I mean, even if this was true, it was 5 years ago. And quite frankly, I can tell you too, like, so if I was involuntarily committed and I had to go to a treatment center, it doesn't matter if I needed it or not, I would be pissed. I would feel like I was kidnapped. Involuntarily committing somebody is no small thing. That person feels like essentially they've been kidnapped and their rights have been taken away and they're being held prisoner. That's what a lot of people who are involuntarily committed feel like, and they act out. And as staff, we understand that. We have no problems with that. I saw this email and they were saying, oh, she was throwing things and she was yelling at people. My opinion is like, so what? I mean, no, we try to like discourage those behaviors, and we try to keep things moving along on the facility and things running smoothly for everyone, so no one's traumatized. But at the same time, come on, so she was yelling at her roommate, she was throwing things. No, that's not okay. This supposedly happened. I think this whole email is bullshit. Even if it's not bullshit, it's bullshit that somebody did this 5 years later. But so on a this is the other thing too. They said she was put into isolation, but they made it clear that, oh, she never threatened anyone or anything like that, and I don't think she would have hurt someone. Well, you don't just willy-nilly put somebody in isolation, okay? You've got to have reasons. Otherwise, you are imprisoning that person in isolation. It's the same thing with restraints. You need a doctor's order to put someone in restraints unless it's like an absolute emergency. So this whole notion that she didn't really do anything, but she ended up in an isolation room, that flat out just doesn't make sense. You end up in an isolation room because you're threatening to harm yourself, you're threatening to harm somebody else. You could be having other like violent behaviors where staff is just concerned for your safety or the safety of someone else. But no one should really just be in isolation because they're not getting along with their roommate. I mean, there's plenty of people who don't get along with their roommates or people in psych facilities. That is absolutely no reason to put somebody in isolation. Um, so like I just doubt that whole part there. There's a lot of other things in the email I don't really want to get, that much into. I'm starting to feel like I'm like rambling here a little bit, but like my intent was just to come out. I could probably try to do a better video tomorrow, but just for now, I just definitely want to come out and say, please, people, stop spreading this information, stop, furthering this notion or putting the idea on people's heads that if they go into a psychiatric facility, that there might be other patients who are going to go out and give away their anonymity and their confidentiality and their secrets. This is so damaging. Like, I can't even. This is so damaging. It's like so many levels. It's just so damaging. And it just kind of infuriates me as a mental health worker. And, there's no good intent behind this. I mean, like I said, it was something that happened 5 years ago. Like, honestly, who cares? Even if she was on the unit, I'm not saying she was, but even if she was on the unit and was a holy terror, I mean, so what? She was involuntarily committed. I feel like most of us would do the same thing. That's no, you know what I mean? That doesn't mean anything. That means she's a normal person, actually. If that's actually what happened, that's how I would react. I'm a mental health professional, but believe me, if I was involuntarily committed against my will, even if I needed it, I'm sure I would rage. I would rage like crazy, even though I know what the job's like. But that's the thing too, like, there's not like a true professional that's ever going to hold that against you. It's not like I've ever sat there and thought about any patients of mine who are really quite, how should I say, symptomatic and, sometimes could be stressful, you know what I mean? Or challenging, I guess I could say. But I never like blame those people. If anything, like if I get upset by it, that just means that I have more work that I need to do as a professional because I need to figure out why they were upsetting me so much or why I wasn't able to deal with it. And that does happen in mental health. It's happened to me like numerous times. So sometimes you need to reevaluate yourself and like, brush up on your own skills. But there should never be like a point in time when it's just like, the medical professionals have any issues with the way anyone behaves on a psych unit. Like, trust me, we're pretty much ready for anything. Anyway, sorry. I feel like that was a little bit long. I didn't mean to ramble. Like I said, I might post some other videos on the topic since I'm like back at it, but I'm not really sure what else I want to say at this point in time other than please just don't give credence to these emails. This is really so damaging because anyone could write an email about this about anybody on a psych unit. And oh, it's just awful. It's just really awful. So please, let's just like squash this whole thing and let's like not pay attention to it, hopefully. And let's just like condemn this because it's very, very like harmful. Like I said, don't spread hate to anybody, but I could really care less if that person's channel got taken down. I think there should be accountability for this situation. All right. So on that note, I don't know, I guess good night. I guess those are nice cheery thoughts to go to bed to, but most of you will probably see this during the day anyway. Well, most of you probably, there's not really too many people on my channel. So those are just my thoughts. Thank you for listening and maybe I will see you next time.